I'll call to order the October 4th, 2023 City of Fishers Plan Commission meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kay, roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Here.
Mr. Fain?
Here.
Ms. Logan? Mr. Peterson? Mr. Moulter? Ms. Stoller? Mr. Richards? Ms. Jackson? And Mr. Stevenson.
Here.
Thank you.
We do have a quorum to conduct business today. However, for the public and the petitioner, we only have 6 board members, so a decision will require a unanimous decision. The September 6, 2023 minutes have been circulated. Any comments on those? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Todd, second by Rick. All those in favor use the sign aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. The minutes are approved. The first agenda item is case number RZ-23-3. This was continued from our September meeting with an address of multiple parcels on the north side of 96th Street between Georgia and Cynthia Ann Road. It's a consideration of a rezone of 109 acres from R2 residential to PUD-R. The Flat Fork PUD would include a maximum of 225 single-family homes on the north side of 96th Street between Georgia and Cynthia Ann Road. And we have Director Ross Hillary, who will present on behalf of the city.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Ross Hillary, City of Fishers, Planning and Zoning. Before you tonight is consideration for the Flat Fork PUD. This was continued from the last meeting, so they are here tonight to seek favorable recommendation. Favorite Drinker, on behalf of Grand Communities LLC, is requesting rezone of the 109 acres from R2 to PUD-R. The new zoning district would be known as Flat Fork PUD and would consist of a total of 225 single-family lots. Here you can see those 2 different properties that we're talking about, both Georgia Road and Cynthia Ann. You'll see this again later on. The underlying zoning district for this PUD will incorporate the R5 residential zoning districts as a standard. As you can see here, they are currently zoned R2. They're also part of our Greenway Overlay District, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Several standards have been revised since the previous meeting, so I'll go over those. These include minimum lot size, lot width, side setback for the east property, which is the area along Cynthia Ann, as well as a decrease in the maximum impervious surface coverage. As part of our Fishers 2040, this area is part of the suburban residential, so staff believes that this is aligned with the 2040 plan for this area. Again, here is a site location of those 2 separate parcels that you're seeing here tonight. This is also currently going through the annexation through City Council. Here's the updated concept plan, which shows the property. The real estate shall be substantially and consistent with the concept plan shown here. From our previous meetings, you'll also see that the area along Georgia Road previously had a commercial portion that has been removed and has been filled in with additional residential lots, which is why that number is now at 225. Here you can see a side-by-side of the R2 current zoning versus our R5 standard. The lot area for R5 is 7,500. You can see here both of their site areas, the west and the east, is above that lot area, so I wanted to make note of that. The lot width at building line is decreased from the R5, as well as the setbacks. So they're proposing a 5-foot setback on the western portion, which is the area next to Georgia, and a 7.5 setback on the eastern portion, which is next to Cynthia Ann. The PD committee previously approved elevations in June. They were before PUD committee tonight, but staff recommended some of the elevations be removed. This is because of anti-monotony, so they will be bringing forward additional elevations at our PUD committee in the future. Open space shall be provided, which is similar to what is being shown here. All requirements for landscaping are to be native species, which is part of our UDO. This yellow highlighted area will be the continuation of the Geist Greenway, which meets the overlay district requirements. One thing that has been added since staff has presented this in the past is Hatem Meki, our Director of Engineering, as well as myself, met with representatives of McCordsville in Hancock County to really understand what they're doing south of 96th Street. This is outside of our jurisdiction based from zoning as well as Plan Commission, but really wanted to get a handle and understanding of what's happening on that side. So they've Haven Pond, which is a subdivision that has been approved, and then Helms Mill, which is a subdivision which is on the eastern side, is currently going through their similar Plan Commission process. So this is around 500 additional homes, which will be on the south side of 96th Street. And why I'm bringing this up is really to make sure that we're doing good, cross-county line planning, but also for us to understand how 96th Street needs to react in regards to improvements along that. So Hatem Meki is here. We have a good understanding now of when these sections will come through, and we're confident that our road improvements will align with that. If you have any additional questions on the traffic report, Director Meki is here to answer those. And lastly, one thing that I thought was really interesting and showed that our leadership here as a community, this is directly south of our Geist Greenway, and they will have a city park as part of that. So this will be an amenity south of 96th Street that these residents can also enjoy, because we'll work with some sort of mid-block crossing to access this. So this is land that these developers are dedicating to the town of McCordsville for a public park. With that, staff is recommending that Plan Commission send a favorable recommendation to City Council. We are recommending this because we believe it aligns with the Fishers 24 vision, and the proposed uses also align. Murray Clark is here to represent Ryan Holmes, and happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Ross. Mr. Clark?
Mr. President, members of the Commission, for the record, I'm Murray Clark. I'm an attorney with Faegre Drinker Law Firm with offices at 900 East 96th Street. With me today is Mike Lewis, who's the Indianapolis Division Land Manager for Ryan Holmes. Also with us tonight are the owners of both of these parcels, Dr. and Mrs. Ardalon, who own the property, both parcels, and a living trust in their names. As Ross mentioned, we present to you again, on behalf of Ryan Holmes, plans for this Flat Fork PUD. And recall, and I know that some of you were here in June, and I apologize if I'm repeating and you know this, these parcels are comprised of two distinct infill parcels along 96th Street. We did present it before you on June 7th, and over the last few months, we've worked with the community and made significant modifications to our proposed PUD, and I want to thank those who worked with us. There may be some folks here from Belmont neighborhood, as well as Councilor DeReamer. I've spoken to Councilor Zimmerman, Councilor Peterson, and others to try to figure out how we can satisfy concerns brought forward by the community. So this tab 2, as you know, the Georgia Road or west parcel, as Ross mentioned in staff report, they refer to the west parcel. It's located at the northeast corner of 96 and Georgia Road. It's approximately 50 acres. You may recall that we had originally proposed 4 acres of commercial development along 96th Street, really at the southwest corner of this parcel. That commercial component of this PUD has been removed, and this entire west parcel is now single-family residential. The second parcel is located at the northwest corner of 96 and Cynthia Ann Road. It's comprised of approximately 59 acres, again, of entirely single-family detached for-sale residential. The location maps in this tab 2 indicate where these two parcels are situated. Collectively, the two neighborhoods are adjacent to two primary arterial roadways, and also the planned Geist Greenway Trail and the Flat Fork Creek Park. Tab 3 here is an overall concept plan showing the two parcels. So this is the tab 4 here in your materials. As mentioned, this is the Georgia Road parcel, or the west parcel, comprised of 50 acres. As we provide for a maximum of 55 single-family detached residential home sites. All residences are planned to be ranch homes, largely catering to step-down buyers, perhaps empty nesters. The expected price range for these homes is between $450,000 and $550,000. As I mentioned, substantive changes to this community have been made, including increases to minimum lot area, minimum lot widths, and the addition of a low-maintenance community provision that I will describe in a few minutes. In this tab 4, you will find the site plan and other plans, including the landscaping, open space, and pedestrian plans. As I mentioned in June, thoughtful consideration has been given to internal trails, paths, and connectivity, and general connectivity in and to the neighborhood, which is blessed with tremendous off-site amenity opportunities, since I think, as you saw from Ross's presentation, it's adjacent to the planned Geist Greenway Trail. We also included in this tab 4 your material illustrative renderings of homes proposed in this neighborhood. Ross mentioned we were before the PUD committee before this meeting. We now have 15, or proposed 15 different floor plans or models for these two parcels. Staff had suggested we eliminate one, maybe two of them, so we're kind of going back to the drawing board, and that's largely because of the rather tough, frankly, stringent anti-monotony ordinance that Fishers has. So let's turn now to, in tab 5, the Cynthian Road parcel, which again is noted as the east parcel in your staff report. It includes approximately 59 acres with a maximum of 130 single-family detached residential home sites. The neighborhood is planned for, unlike the west parcel, is planned entirely for two-story homes with an expected price range of $600,000 and up. Again, substantive changes to this community have been made, including increases to minimum lot area, minimum lot width, and an increase in minimum side yard setbacks from 5 feet to 7.5 feet. In tab 5, you will also find the site plan and other plans, again, including landscaping, open space, and pedestrian plans. And like the west parcel, this is a blessed parcel. Internal trails and paths and general connectivity are included and prioritized, and it's blessed with a tremendous off-site amenity opportunity, namely the Flat Fork Creek and Flat Fork Creek Park, immediately to the east of Cynthian. We've also included in tab 5 illustrative renderings of homes proposed in this neighborhood. So collectively, these two neighborhoods will include a diverse mix of home collections, as I mentioned. All told, as I've said, Ryan Homes will feature up to 15 unique floor plans with actually 2 elevations for each, really arguably 30 models. Home sizes will range between 1,600 and 4,000 square feet. Tab 6 and 7, happy to discuss them. These involve some rear porch detail and design and garage detail. But I do want to draw your attention to tab 8, and this is in your materials probably from staff and in the materials we provide, and this is the actual proposed PUD ordinance. And of course, this is a document that will show the changes that have been made, as I mentioned, several modifications, particularly the development standards in the ordinance, including, as I mentioned, minimum lot area, minimum lot width, increases in side yard setbacks. And I do want to mention the side yard setback issue. which Councilor DeReamer has discussed with us in some detail. The side yard setback for the east parcel, Cynthia Ann, has been increased. The setback for the west parcel has not. The minimum remains at 5 feet, but I think there are some mitigating factors that I want to mention, and that are due to changes that we've made, concessions we've made. So, again, it's important to point out with this product mix and the application of the anti-monotony ordinance, only 2 of the 6 floor plan products, Savannah and Cumberland, proposed for Georgia Road will have as little as 5-foot side yard setbacks. In fact, only if someone chooses one of the largest floor plan products and with a 3-car garage will a side yard setback, 5-yard setback be even in play. And by the way, we think that would be 5 feet 4 inches for what it's worth. And in the case where a buyer, a potential buyer, would want that large floor plan with a 3-car garage, a maximum of 36 lots, if the maximum number of people chose that, given again the product mix and the anti-monotony ordinance, a maximum of 36 lots would be eligible for this 5-foot setbacks. In short, we'd expect an overall that the average side yard setback on the Georgia Road parcel would be at least 7.6 feet. Another item I wanted to mention is, and I believe this is an important one, I think it was important to some of the people in Belmont that we talked to on this issue, is that Ryan Homes will be using hardy plank siding, which is mold and water resistant, unlike vinyl siding. And respectfully, we would assert that homeowner maintenance, construction materials, cleanliness, and bush tree trimming and clearing would be the major things that contribute to or prevent moldy siding. Setbacks junior to those, less important to those items we would respectfully submit. So note that among the other items we've worked out with the Belmont, some of the Belmont subdivision what we believe former remonstrance, we agreed that the primary responsibility of care and maintenance of landscaping and lawns in the residential lots at the Georgia Road site shall default to the HOA. So in the HOA documents, it will say HOA is to take care of, care and maintenance of lawns, landscaping, essentially anything out of the floor print of the homes and hard surfaces like driveways. And we did that to add assurances that the side yard setbacks will not experience the kind of problems witnessed at Britton Falls that we've been advised of. This is the low maintenance community language I mentioned earlier. It can be found on page 14. Let's see if I can pull it up here. There, it's at the bottom of this page. I don't know if you can read it, but we've established, this is brand new, low maintenance community language, which again makes it the responsibility of the HOA for this care and maintenance, which is not to say that the property owner can't be involved in it, but it's the primary responsibility of the HOA. And of course, worth mentioning again, as regards changes made since the last time we were before you, there's no commercial development or uses proposed now in this amended PUD. As set forth in the staff report are illustrative materials, including architectural exhibits, concept plans, including open space, internal trail and connectivity networks, landscaping, and the like, will be incorporated into the PUD ordinance. So with that, Mr. President, Mr. Lewis and I would be happy to address questions you might have. We would respectfully ask for your favorable consideration of this PUD, and if I have any time left, maybe even reserve that for rebuttal.
Thanks, Mr. Clark, and thanks for your presentation. Board members, any questions for Mr. Clark or Mr. Lewis?
Couple. Thank you, first of all, for the communication with regard to my concerns on Georgia Road and 96th Street. Thank you for staff for communicating that we're talking with McCordsville. I really feel it's important to make sure that 96th Street, but especially I was more concerned with Georgia Road and safety with regard to school buses going up and down there and adding more residential there, which would mean more children, which mean more bus routes through it. I would probably like to highlight that again, maybe, Ross, if you could. And the other thing was, Murray, on item 15, low maintenance, I see that it says, and I'm just looking back here, that it says lawn care. Does that include bushes on the side? Because when there's bushes or small trees, that does impact some mold on the side of houses and stuff. So I just want to kind of see if that included that, or is that part of the responsibility of the homeowner?
Yeah, that will. My name's Mike Lewis, land manager for Ryan Homes. That will ultimately be defined exactly in the HOA documents. But generally speaking, lawn mowing, snow removal, and tree and shrub maintenance is included for those that are planted when the home was.
Right, the original, you can't care for what if somebody puts in something else, but
That's generally correct.
okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Ross was coming up. Yeah.
Ross, can you come up and address Todd's?
Could you go over, you don't have to, just briefly, kind of what we talked about with regard to Georgia Road?
And I'll actually ask Hatem to maybe give us a
Maybe,
timeline on.
some details on that.
Yeah, so there's some stuff that will come with the development. Required to maintain 12-foot driving lanes, ACL, decel, which is all part of our typical review. But Hatem, maybe do you want to give us a timeline on other improvements?
Yeah, Hatem Meki, Director of Engineering, City of Fishers. Good evening, everyone. So I guess with a lot of these developments, when they come in, we perform our traffic analysis on their impacts on Georgia Road and 96th Street. Based on a lot of these aspects that we take into account, the number of homes that come in, the existing traffic, we usually give recommendations in that traffic memo that we have. In situations like this, when we see something like that in Georgia Road, we would recommend typically axle decel lanes or left turn in and out or a passing blister situation, depending on what comes in, what the existing traffic is, and what we project in the future. In areas like 96 and Cynthia Ann, we already have a programmed roundabout that's going in. This roundabout is slated for a summer of 25 for construction, and we already have communications with McCordsville and what we're going to do based on that construction there and what's happening on the south. We based a lot of our communications with them because there was actually a different development that's happening just right there on the southwest corner of 96 and Cynthia Ann. They had different access points, but they came back and they provided their new plans to us, and it's actually a little bit better for 96th Street. Based on the new two developments that are coming also south of 96th Street, they are having their access on 96th Street right opposite of Georgia Road. And when those come in, we are expecting to work with McCordsville and their developments to provide axle decel lanes, left turn lanes, or a passing blister situation. And with all of these coming in all at the same time or sporadically in different timelines, that's when all of those can take into place. I know that some of the McCordsville developments, they're coming in segments, so they're not necessarily hitting all at the same time. I know the ones on 96 and Cynthia Ann, they're coming in 5 segments, so they're not all coming in at the same time, so we won't see a lot of those impacts on 96th Street or in Georgia or Cynthia Ann all at the same time. So they are spaced out, and also with these developments, I'm not 100% sure with their, what their timelines are, but a lot of these are kind of spread out. So all of these developments that we put into our traffic memos and the solutions, these are addressed in those axle decels, left turn lanes, and passing blisters.
Right. And someone may have already answered this. When did McCordsville say these projects would start? Do they know? Rough ballpark, I know.
Rough ballpark, I know that the 96 and Cynthiane developments, they are starting end of 2024. I think they'll have a lot of their surface development done, and then they're going to start building their homes. That kind of coincides with our summer of 25 building of that roundabout. I know they communicated on the other schedules. I'm not do you have that?
Yes, we also included a letter from Ryan. He's with McCordsville.
Yep.
So it kind of outlined the sections of the developments, and so we're seeing a section come in like fall of 23, fall of 24, fall of 25, fall of 27, which will kind of help also dictate what happens correct at Georgia and 96th Street, which I think is your concern.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Tom, I'd like to follow up on that. Remind me what happens on 96th Street, or that roundabout in particular,
Sure.
when it's multi-jurisdictional. Is McCordsville helping pay for that, or is it our responsibility? What about widening of 96th Street?
96th Street is the southern border of the city of Fishers, and we maintain the 96th Street. When we applied for federal funding on that roundabout, we received the federal funding, and we're obligated for that 10%, whether it's 10 to 20% of that funding that we pay for it. We get into an interlocal when we're between two jurisdictions, an interlocal with that next jurisdiction, so we can operate that area of the roundabout and maybe buy right away from the entities on that south side. So that project is a City of Fishers project, and we run that project and manage it.
What about the rest of 96th Street?
The rest of 96th Street, we do have our thoroughfare plan that projects what we are in the 2040 plan, what we see on those intersections. And as a lot of these developments come in, and normally north and south of 96th Street, we would apply then for a grant from the MPO or NDOT, and that usually takes place within 3 to 5 years from the application, so we can develop those plans. Usually we present that thoroughfare plan to all of these developments, so they understand that these right-of-ways are going to come in, and we get those right-of-ways from the development. That helps us in the future to build that project.
So bottom line is 96th Street is our
Yes.
responsibility?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hatem. General question. So the letter that you received from A&F Engineering, I think it's dated October 2nd, rather. That
Yep.
was part of our packet. That does take into consideration the two developments that are south of 96th
Yes.
Street that are in Hancock County.
Yep.
Okay. Board members, any other questions for staff or the petitioner?
Just for Mr. Clark, remind me what the price point is on the two-story homes?
$600,000 and up.
Wow, thank you.
At this time, I will open the public hearing. If there's anyone in the public who would like to address the commission on this matter, please approach the podium. Please share with us your name and your address. Thank you.
Brad DeReamer, 13142 Oakford Trail, Fishers. I'm also the Fishers City Councilman for the Northeast District, and also known as the 5-foot side setback guy.
Pictures.
Yes. I would first like to thank Scott Wallace in the neighborhood down there. They've included me in all of their discussions, all of their emails. And then I would like to thank Mike Lewis for coming numerous times to meetings to sit down and discuss this project. So in the 40 years that I've been involved with engineers, it's unusual for a developer to spend that much time and listen instead of just doing what they want. So I would like to commend Mike for what he's done. I am the 5-foot guy, and basically because, as everybody knows, Britton Falls is a disaster. Vinyl siding, irrigation, wet, can't mow it, weeds, and the mold. And then the Pulte demands that you have the mold taken off in 30 days. And it's been a disaster out there for 5-foot setbacks. So that's one of the reasons. Plus, I was a mayor of another city where I never allowed 5-foot setbacks. It was 10, and Ryan did 10-foot in Greenfield, Indiana. And talking with Mike and Murray, the east one will be 7.5 minimum, and then looking at every model that could be built on the west side, the least would be 5.3 feet, as Murray mentioned. and some of the others. So if they don't build Model A next door to each other, they will be much greater than 5 foot. So based on what he's been willing to change since day one, and I think the neighborhood now is accepted, I think it'll work. I just wanted to show you the picture that you have in front of you is my particular house. My landscaping's over 5 feet. I'm in violation. I'm on my neighbor's property. And my HVAC comes out 4 feet. So you can see if you got two houses side by side, it's hard for even the HVAC people to not trespass to go fix your HVAC. So that's just another reason. So I want to thank the commission for listening to me, and I'd like to thank Ryan Holmes, and you guys did a great job working together. I was very impressed with the professionalism of Scott Wallace and his team working with Ryan. So I want to thank everybody for that. Oh, and just one other thing. In Indiana, every city is responsible for the south and the east roads. So 96 is south and Atlantic is east. Fishers is those two. The other two is not ours.
Thanks, Brad. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to address this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at this time. Any further discussion from the board?
No, I just commend it, as Councilor DeReamer said, thank you to everyone that has worked together. This is how it should be done, and so I really appreciate that.
I'll echo Todd's sentiments. I appreciate everyone, Mr. Clark and Councilman DeReamer, thanks for your involvement with this as well. I do like the low-maintenance community language and also the removal of the commercial aspect as well. So thanks for everyone who's been involved with this process. If there's no other comments, yes?
My name is Steve. I have one question for the engineer here.
Do you mind coming up to the microphone?
Sure. I don't know if you can hear me. My name is Steve Hunley. I'm a resident neighbor there. If you look at the two settlements that they're making in McCordsville, most of that traffic is coming out at Georgia Road. So why would we put a roundabout down at Cynthiana instead of Georgia Road in 96th?
The roundabout on 96th Cynthiana is a safety roundabout. We've had a lot of accidents in that intersection, so it's an HSIP. It's a safety project that we applied for at the MPO. So it's mainly for that intersection as a safety precaution. We've seen a lot of accidents there. So that is something that is kind of independent of the development. It's for the safety side, but it also will help in navigating and funneling all of that traffic.
So as we funnel that many people into 96th and Georgia there,
Yep.
are we going to have turnoff lanes? Or what have we got proposed for 96th Street there?
No. So as the traffic, and we do the traffic studies on Georgia and on that intersection and how it would handle a lot of these developments. So we include a lot of these developments in the study for that roundabout, and that roundabout would function as it's designed currently for the future traffic and for the future developments, north and south of 96 and.
But I noticed if you looked at two subdivisions they're building to the south, everything's funneling into Georgia Road, though. It's not going that way.
Well, so what we do in our traffic studies is we do the trip generations, and most of the time that some of these trip generations, they go north and some of them go south. So if you go on Georgia, some of those trip generations, they take you south into Pendleton, and some of them also go north into 96th Street. So we use that modeling in order for us to account for a lot of these traffic that goes onto Georgia, onto 96th Street, and goes south to Pendleton.
Okay.
So all of that is taken into account, and that's why we have a lot of these memos that come in when these developments come in.
I just know how fast traffic goes through there, and I can see a lot of problems right there.
And a lot of these developments, when they come in, and a lot of the improvements that we require with these developments coming in will help alleviate a lot of these issues with that, and especially in that intersection with 96 and Georgia.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we have closed the public hearing, but we'll allow you to come and present.
I also live in Belmont Place. My name is Ann Capella, And he's absolutely right. It's very busy the way it is now to turn onto 96th Street from Georgia Road.
Mhm.
How long do you think it will take to get a roundabout approved?
With the developments that are coming in, the improvements that we outlined in the traffic memo would be from when they start building their internal roadways and their infrastructure. So you would see a dedicated left turn lane, you would see the right turn lane and the axle
I'm just
decel.
asking about a
Oh,
timeline.
as far as
Would
the-
it be 2 years, 5 years?
For the roundabout?
Yeah.
That would be probably after everything's all said and done, we would look and monitor this whole situation and take traffic counts. And if the traffic requires us or makes us, build a roundabout from that point, then we do apply and get grants from the MPO. And that usually takes, from the time of application, it takes 3 years to develop and build the roundabout itself.
It's not fast enough.
I understand, but I think the improvements that we're going to put on 96th Street and onto Georgia, that would help out a lot. And we've seen that in a lot of different areas in the community. But I agree with you. If the answer to everything kind of is a roundabout, but unfortunately that we look at the traffic impacts and the traffic studies, and if we can use that and continue monitoring that traffic, and if it does get to that point, we would use it to the next step. So, and for us, if the axle lanes and the left turn lanes are appropriate and they do work for an amount of years to come, then that would be the approach that we have. And we will, like you said, we will continue monitoring that area with all of this growth that's coming in, and we'll be in contact with McCordsville as well, and we'll see if anything is needed on that stretch. But we'll keep watching it. Yeah.
Thanks, ma'am, for your question. Hatim, thanks for your answer. Any other discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
A motion to make a favorable recommendation to council.
We have a motion by Todd. We have a second by Bruce. Kay, roll call, please.
Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Fain?
Aye.
Mr. Moulter? Ms. Jackson? Mr. Stevenson?
Aye. The motion carries. Thank you. Ross, we don't have any new business, I don't believe. Staff communications? Summary of council actions?
No summary.
Okay. Well, I will entertain
Good job, Ross.
I'll entertain